Hello, amazing artists. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make your own clay at home using just a few simple ingredients. And I'm also going to be showing you how to color the clay if you would like. This is a small batch clay recipe. You'll get about this much and you'll need flour, water, and salt to make it. This recipe is from Clay Lab for Kids by Cassie Stevens. It's a great book and resource for at-home sculpture and clay activities. These are the materials you'll need to make your clay. If you're making your clay with a family member or friends, you can always double the recipe. You'll need a big bowl, a half a cup of flour, a fourth of a cup of salt, and a fourth of a cup of water. You'll also need something to mix with and something to protect your surface when you start playing with your clay. I'm using aluminum foil, but you can also use parchment paper or any type of plastic wrap. I'm going to start by pouring my fourth of a cup of water into my bowl, followed by my salt, and then last I'm going to pour in my half a cup of flour. Once your ingredients are well mixed, you can start kneading your clay. Kneading your clay just means smushing and squishing it with your hands. This will get the ingredients even more well combined and make your clay nice and smooth. If it's kind of sticky, you can get a little bit of flour on your hands and that'll keep it from sticking to your hands. Now let's talk about coloring our clay. You can do this a couple of different ways. You can use markers, or you can use acrylic paint. I'll be showing you both ways, but you can choose which way you like better. I personally like the marker method better because it is a lot less messy. All you'll need to do is take however much clay you want to color. You can pinch off a little bit, or you can color the whole thing. You're going to want to squish it down flat and then take your marker and just tap all over it. We're making these little dots all over the top of our clay slab. And the more dots you make, the more color will be added into your clay. Once you have all of your dots on your clay, you don't want to touch the part you just added the marker on because that'll get it all over your hands. So first we're going to fold it kind of like a taco so that all of that color is staying inside of the clay. And then you're just going to knead it and squish it and smush it until you start seeing that color all over. Now I'm going to use paint to color my clay. Pinch off however much you want to color. I'm going to start with squishing my clay down into a slab like before, and I'm using acrylic paint. You can also use tempera, but you only need a little dot. Again, I want to fold my clay into a little taco to keep most of that color inside, and then I'm going to knead my clay to spread out the color. When you use paint, you will probably get some on your hands. That's why I like the marker method a little bit better because it is a lot cleaner to use. But the paint works faster. You don't have to use as much paint or add more color as many times as you do with the marker. So now that we have our clay colored, I'm going to show you a few tips and tricks. Remember, you can always put a little bit of flour on your hands to keep your clay from sticking quite so much. You can make whatever you want to with your clay. It is totally up to you. I'm going to be showing you 3 basic ways to mold your clay that will help you with your creations. I'm starting off by making a slab, and how I make a slab is I squish my clay down nice and flat. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pinch off a couple of pieces of my blue clay, and I am going to roll them in between my hands to make a nice ball or sphere. So now I need to get this to stick to my clay slab. A very simple way to get your clay pieces to stick is dip your finger in a little bit of water, rub it onto the part you're trying to stick it to, and then just gently squish it a little bit onto that spot where you put the water. The water will make your clay sticky in that area, and that will get little pieces of clay to stick to your bigger one. I am just gently tapping on my pieces to make sure they are secured in place. They look like eyes, so I'm going to add a little mouth with my pink clay. I'm going to pinch off a little bit, and I'm going to coil my clay. And coiling means just rolling it back and forth like you are making a little snake. I'm going to get a little bit of water, put it down there so that my little mouth will stay in place. Something else you can do with your clay if you choose, you can add texture markings, and you can do this with a pencil or a toothpick or anything. And I'm just going to add little dots in my eyes, but if you're making something with a lot of texture, you can add little markings to create that. I hope you've enjoyed making your own clay with me today, and I would love to see what you've created with your clay. So for my students, if you would like to send me an email to show me your creations, I would love to hear from you. Stay creative, artists!